All right, welcome to this episode of the Geotechnical Engineering Podcast. In this episode, I'm talking with Frank DiSalvo, PE, Regional Manager at American Pile and Foundation, LLC. We'll be talking about the challenges of breaking into the industry and the impact of the talent shortage on geotechnical engineering. I'm your host, Jared Green, and I'm excited to bring you another episode of the Geotechnical Engineering Podcast. But before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our sponsor for today's episode, that being Tensar, a division of CMC.
Check out Tensar Plus, the award-winning design software for construction professionals to design with geosynthetics and calculate their value on projects. Tensar Plus is simple to use with a powerful engineering system at its core. It leverages our decades of research and experience with soils all over the world, so you can count on your solutions working the first time, even in the most difficult conditions. Whether you're designing a crane pad or need to build a temporary road over muck, the cost, time, and carbon savings can be calculated, making comparison with alternatives simple. Specs, reports, and product data can be generated for your design, and training resources, research, and our third-party expert reviews are all provided conveniently in the software if needed. Usable both online and offline, the app is available in browser and on all major mobile platforms. Whatever you're working on, Tensar Plus is your toolbox for success.
All right, Frank, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Excellent.
Always a pleasure to be in your company.
I feel the same way, man. This is long overdue. I feel like, I probably should have just had a tape recorder when we talk, right?
That's it. We probably have to edit quite a bit out, but
probably, as we might have to do today. You never know, right? But let's see. I know you well, but the people that are watching and listening may not know you very well. So if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself to help set the stage, and also how did you end up as the regional manager at American Pile and Foundation, LLC?
Sure. Yeah. Basically, born and raised in the New York area. Dad's a mechanic. Mom is a people person. So I kind of feel like I ended up in this path from that, the mechanical mind from my dad, and the personal skills from the mom. And, enjoyed math and science, went to engineering school, got Manhattan College, bachelor and master's degree in civil engineering, came out right out of school working for Moore Trench. I was there for over 10 years, pretty much from a project engineer on site every day to a PM level. And then about 3 years ago, had an opportunity to come over here to American Pile, a bunch of former colleagues from Moore Trench as well. So kind of got the band back together, and it's been really cool, a lot of opportunity here.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What was it like getting into the industry straight out of school? I mean, you knew everything and it was easy, or were there some challenges?
Yeah,
what was it like? Were there some surprises?
No challenges, no surprises. Just came right out and exactly as I expected. No, it's funny because, I really didn't have any kind of a background in construction or engineering whatsoever. It was just whatever I learned in school, and really didn't have any family or friends in the business. So really came in cold, and right out of school, first job on that site, and it was baptism by fire.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool. But I could give you the one story coming out, first job out of school, and we have our super is on the job, and he's there for one day and he leaves. So then the second day on the job from work, right?
Yeah.
The PMs for the GC that we're working as a subcontractor, comes over to the crew. Hey, where's the super? And all the fingers are pointing at me. So I'm sitting here like, super? Like, I don't know about super. I'm a pretty all right guy. I don't know if I'm a super guy.
That's awesome.
I don't even know what the term means.
Yeah, right.
It means nothing to me.
It's like superintendent. He's super dude, man. He's super guy.
Yeah.
That's
he's a
awesome.
Pretty super guy. So yeah, I feel like that's a good example. And then, just out on that job working, and then fast forward a week later, I get a call from the office. Oh, do me a favor. I'm going to send out 2 checks. One week pay for the guy, and then today's check for the guy, that same guy today. It's his last day. It's his layoff check. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So I go over, give it to the guy, right? Takes the hard hat right off, hauled it towards me, and cursed out up and down like I have no idea.
I just laid this guy off. I didn't realize it. Oh my goodness, that's insane.
Let's call the office. I'm like, I don't know. He's flipping out.
Yeah.
Oh, just tell him to go F himself and rip up his check. I'm like, oh God.
Oh my goodness. They didn't have a class for that? They didn't have a class for that?
I didn't take that in school, no.
Man, and I imagine you were one of the younger folks on the job, probably?
Oh, yeah, definitely
time?
the youngest guy on the job.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
I'm sure you had something similar when your first couple days out on the job, right?
Yeah, it's definitely eye-opening, right? You think you're smart, which you are, and you think you know everything, which you think you do, but then you realize there have been people that have been doing this much longer than you've been alive. And it's like there's a finesse, there's a humility, right? And it takes a lot to really understand how you fit in the bigger picture, right? You're like, what is a superintendent? Like, what does that mean? Who are you responsible for? So it's a lot.
It's funny though. It's like, terms like that we take for granted. They're so, commonplace and, very easy to understand. But when you're not exposed to any of that, in school, and if you're not in this field, it's all new. You got to soak it all in.
Mm-hmm. And it's very important to remember that when you're tasked with mentoring somebody or training somebody up. You have to remember they probably don't know a lot, right?
Right. And the further you're away, like the more effort you have to put towards that, because you're only human. You lose sight of it.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's so true. So let's see. Switch gears a little bit. What aspects of geotechnical engineering, or the geotechnical engineering field, what aspects do you enjoy the most, and what keeps you motivated and passionate about your work?
I mean, I really enjoy the whole, no two jobs are the same. In geotech engineering, you could be on the same site and have two completely different soil conditions going on. It always keeps you guessing. You can never stop learning. And then that's all the technical aspect of it, using, the creativity of what we do. That I feel like that's a big benefit to what we do on the geotechnical side, is we get to use our engineering knowledge. A lot of the geostructural work that you and I get involved with too. It's very creative work that, you maybe wouldn't think coming out of school that would be, a big aspect of what we do. And then there's the people side of it, right? Just enjoying that camaraderie, working as a team, like we're all here together to achieve the common goal, and rallying everybody around that goal. And the jobs always get done. We always say it, right? In the industry, like, we'll get it done. It's going to happen one way or another.
Yeah. That's true. It always gets done. It
always gets done.
It's fascinating because sometimes it just seems impossible. It's like, how is this going to get done? But it's like, it's going to get done. It has to. So it will, right?
That's it.
Man, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that you face in your role, especially as it relates to project management and design?
I mean, since you're a consultant, I'll just, I'll throw a shot at the consultants. The biggest challenges, I would say, a lot of the positives came out of COVID with the remote meetings and things like that. But sometimes there's no substitute to just being in person and, walking the site and going through some issues. And I feel like that's one of the challenges I'm seeing now is just it's impossible to get, obviously not yourself. I mean, we work together on multiple projects. We always get along great. And, if there's an issue, you're on it, but it's not across the board. And that's definitely a challenge when you have, someone reciting a spec to you instead of like, look, I know what the spec says, but let's talk about reality and let's actually work together to get this done. And I could explain to you all day long what the site looks like and what we're experiencing, but sometimes you got to see it for yourself.
Yeah.
So I would say that's definitely, one of the challenges. And, again, it's the just overall lack of talent, I would say. There's so many projects we get involved with across, especially in this New York area. We're dealing with all kinds of different infrastructure and private development, and there's only so much talent to go around. So, that's a big part of the challenge that we face on a daily basis as well.
Let's dig into that a little bit. The talent shortage, how has that impacted your work? How has it impacted the industry as a whole? And what steps do you think can be taken to address the challenge?
I mean, one of the easiest things, again, in the early part of my career, it was very common for me as the an engineer working for a contractor to be dealing with someone like yourself, an engineer working for a consultant, and you're on that site, and together you work through a lot of issues, and you use logic and work things through. But now I feel like a lot of the norm in the industry is that a third-party inspector would be hired. And, obviously there's some quality third-party inspectors. I'm not saying that, but a lot of them aren't. They don't have the talent and they don't have the experience. And it really just puts a lot of delays into the project and unnecessary, discussions and meetings that, if we had the talent that's right there on site, we can get this accomplished and move the job forward.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that ties into just there's not enough talent there, that, it's just people are getting plugged into roles. And again, when you talk to some of these folks that don't have the experience, it's not like they're out there really enjoying their day-to-day. They're usually the most stressed person on the site because they don't have the knowledge. Yeah. So there's fear. It's not a good recipe, in my opinion.
Yeah. So you got to get more people to go into the field. You got to get more people to stay in the field. I mean,
yeah. And again, same thing. Like, how do you get more people into the field? I mean, more money, right? If we can drive the, compensation in the industry, we'll attract more talent and we'll do a better job of training as well. So those are the challenges. I mean, again, I'm sure you see a lot of the same challenge you've just seen from the other side. So
yeah, it's fascinating. I talked to a lot of folks. I mean, I'm in consulting, you're a specialty contractor. I talked to even the reviewing agencies say that they can't find enough engineers that want to go. So it's like, it's a lot of opportunity. We need people to go into the field.
Right. I mean, it's a good thing, right? Yeah. That there's all this work and all this investment in what we do, but let's get it done, right?
All right, cool. So tell us an interesting experience you've had with ground improvement and groundwater techniques. I mean, I know that's something that we're all dealing with, but what comes to mind when I say that?
Yeah. Obviously, a bulk of our work is the geostructural work, but we do get involved with ground improvement and groundwater control. I can tell you a story from a few years ago. We were at Eastside Access and we were drilling horizontally underneath the water table through a slurry wall. It's probably about 30 feet of water head that we were drilling with. So we had this all fancy groundwater control device that had valves and gaskets so that once we punched through that slurry wall, the water would be contained and kind of controlled. And we had drilled the fuel holes. It was all working well. So I'm standing there with the driller. Of course, it's in January and on a night shift. And driller punches through the wall. Now, the process was punch through the wall, come back, change the tooling, go back in.
Sure.
Operate these valves and cylinders that we have so you can control it. Well, he has a brain fart. He pulls the tooling just straight back out of the whole assembly. And now you have a 6-inch access hole that just comes out like, I can't even describe, like a fire hose.
Oh,
and we get tossed back like 40 feet. And he crawls back up. He pushes the tooling back into the ray. We all stand up. We're like, I'm soaked right down to my underwear. And we're like, yeah, me too. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I'm out. Oh my goodness, that's insane.
So yeah, maybe it's not quite a super technical description of groundwater control experience, but I tell you, it's one that I won't forget.
Yeah. The protocol, the sequence of operations, whatever you want to call it, it's like there's an order. You got to do that, even if it's nighttime. Even if it's at night. Wow, that could have been really bad from a safety standpoint. I mean,
big time.
That could have been really bad.
Yeah.
So that you guys stopped the shift after that? It was just like,
it was like an hour left. We were soaked. It's 20 degrees out. We're like, that's enough of this.
Got it. All right, cool. So let me gather myself, right? So what changes or advancements do you believe are necessary in the geotechnical industry to keep up with the evolving demands of modern infrastructure? I mean, we're doing a revitalization of most of the infrastructure here in the U.S. and around the world. So what do you think needs to happen?
I mean, obviously technology plays a big role, right? And newer technologies that can be adopted. But I feel like it's simpler than that. Is if we really want to do these projects more expeditiously, we got to do something with some of these outdated codes that we're all working under. I mean, perfect example, you and I spent a lot of time in the New York City market, right? That New York City building code. is there a reason why we're sitting here holding pile load tests for 24 hours? I mean, it's like, it's in the code. Okay, great. After the first hour, if the pile is holding the load, it's going to hold the load. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe you have a different experience, but I just feel like there's a lot of just antiquated codes that I don't know why they're there in the first place. Maybe nobody does, so they don't want to change them. But, again, like, I think we could do a lot to, again, a load test on a job, you're talking two weeks to a month worth of time on a project that could be huge. That, there's O cells we can put in these piles, there's strain gauge. We could be doing all this type of new technology, but there's really no benefit in certain codes. That's just one example. But, again, I think a lot of the codes that we work with, really need to be reassessed and relooked at. And again, I do get it, right? What's worked in the past, like, everyone's a little hesitant to change it, but if we want to adapt to the new technology, and like we were talking about earlier with the talent shortage, well, we could become more efficient as an industry. That's one of the solutions too, right?
Yeah, that's true. I think you've been in the industry as long as I have. It was a 96-hour hold at one time, and that was, oh my goodness, you're in that 92nd hour. You're like, are we still out here?
What are we doing?
Yeah. So you got to get on one of those code committees, man. If you want to make your voice heard, you got to, everybody can make their voice heard when they're reevaluating the code. So
you're right. That's what we got to do. We got to get some movers and shakers on those committees.
Yeah. Excellent. So let's see. So before we take our break, what's the final piece of advice you want to share with our listeners, especially those that are just starting out in the journey of engineering or geotechnical engineering?
I would say, a lot of the people starting out in the career, they're looking to just automatically just start doing exactly what they want to do. And I would say just focus on making sure that you're learning and that you're getting challenged, because there's pretty much nowhere you're going to go that's going to be exactly what you expected it to be. Just how we kicked off the session, right? I mean, it's just not going to happen. So focus on making sure you're being challenged. And as long as you're being challenged, and you're getting different challenges as you go, then that's what you should be eating up. And of course, times it's going to suck, right? You're going to be working in night shift in January, right? It's just going to happen, right? It's part of the work, and it makes, builds your character up. But as long as you're getting challenged, then that's what you should be striving towards. Then you're building your own stock, and you're getting that experience and all that challenge. It really just makes you, stronger in your career path.
Excellent. All right, great. We're going to pause on that moment, and we're going to come back in just a minute, close this one out, and Frank in our Career Factor Safety In segment. Stick around. All right, welcome back. It's time for our Career Factor Safety In segment. In geotechnical engineering, just like many disciplines of engineering, it's important to incorporate a factor of safety into your design. But what about incorporating a factor of safety into your career? Today, of course, our speaker is Frank DiSalvo of American Pile and Foundation, LLC. Frank, you've already had a very successful career. And when you look back on your career, what's something that you implemented in your career to give yourself a factor of safety in your career?
Yeah, I would say it was just taking the responsibility. Whatever role I was in, I was, try to accomplish my task at a high level, but then always reach up for the next task and the next responsibility. Especially I feel like in this industry, there's plenty of responsibility to be had, and a lot of good companies out there that will, be happy to encourage you to take that on. And I think that was the key for me, is always looking for more responsibility and just trying to understand what that next level is up against. Makes you do your job better at the current level you're at, and kind of primes you to do and be ready for that next level of responsibility when it's officially, in your wheelhouse.
Excellent. That's definitely great information there. The cheat codes for anybody that's listening and wants to advance their career. So thank you for that, Frank. And thank you for coming on and sharing all the great insight with us. You share some great advice and great information. I know it's going to be helpful for our listeners and those that are watching. If somebody wants to reach out to you, how can they find you? In your social media, or you have an email address you want to share, we can put in the show notes?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I obviously have a LinkedIn profile. You can message me there. And my email is fdisalvo@americanpilellc.com. So I could shoot you that as well to put in the show notes.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much, man. This is awesome.
Thanks a lot, Jared.
I hope you enjoyed the episode today. We would love to hear your feedback, comments, and our questions. Please feel free to go to geotechnicalengineeringpodcast.com, where you'll find a summary of the key points discussed in today's episode, as well as links to any of the resources, websites, or books mentioned during this episode. Until next time, I wish you the very best in all of your geotechnical engineering endeavors. Peace.